Howdy ho, YouTubers, and welcome to another installment of What's in Your Basement. And what we've got here is a small hot water cast iron boiler. It is the Slant Thin Sentry, which is a nice bit of kit, actually. There is not a whole lot of OEM stuff on here. Unlike the modulating condensing boilers, which, yes, boast of a higher efficiency, this one requires a lot less yearly maintenance and very few hard to get parts that would allow for efficiency in that you don't have to wait 2 weeks for something to come from a slow boat on China. This is actually a hydro level product made specifically for this boiler. So it's at least obtainable relatively easily. There is the return on the basement zone. It is a hot water loop there as your heat emitters, 3/4 inch copper pipe, and I've got the purge pointed so that if you open that up, you can stick a copper pipe down there and suck it out with a wet vac. Well, let's get back here. This is the supply to the boiler coming off at 1.5 inches. We've got it down to 1.25 inches, and it goes into this enhanced air separator, which is a fine Bell & Gossett product, which is designed to trap the air, any air bubbles, micro bubbles, and then we've got this hooked up to the expansion tank right there. And what we've got here is another nice bit of kit that has been sold for a long time. It's a Bell & Gossett air separator, and the idea is that you want to keep the air as long as possible in this tank. There's not a whole lot to go wrong with this. The modern day equivalent has a rubber membrane which allows air to bleed away and can sometimes fail, whereas this is just a steel tank which traps some air in it to allow the water to expand. And I got a cutaway of this. It's showing most of it. This trap here keeps the air-laden water from migrating back down and out of the system. This tube here would continue on up into the tank so that if you open this up, it allows air to enter the tank, and so the tank can be drained periodically and recharged with air. If you don't allow that to happen, even if you hook up your hose to just a regular boiler drain, the water will flow for a few seconds and then stop, and you will not properly empty the tank. It'll just kind of go bloop, 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 and won't work. That allows it to drain properly. And it's basically like sticking your finger over the straw and dipping out a bit of soda, and then you take your thumb off the top of the straw, and the water drains out. And that's what this does here. So there's a Bell & Gossett air tool. They've had this since the 50s. It's a nice bit of kit and helps maintain these tanks. There's no reason to replace a perfectly good standard expansion tank. So getting back to the air separator. So we've tied in this pipe here. I heated it up and allowed it to cool, and then that softens the copper, which allows this to bend, because you want this pitching upward to capture the air and have it go into the tank. So that's what this does here. And there's the water feed tying in with the shutoff valve, boiler feed pressure reducer or feeder, and there's your backflow, and then there's the original shutoff valve there. So this can be isolated from the system, and these components repaired, replaced, and serviced without draining the system. We've got the gas line in here. We've got this coming over. Then we've got a custom cut 19-inch nipple here, and then it drops back down, and Frank's done a very nice job of keeping that tight and workmanlike. Frank's also working on the electrical. This is a relay from the main zone here. We're going to have another relay here, and of course this is the service switch. Again, we've removed the silly boiler drain and added a full port boiler drain to take advantage of the nice sump pump over there. We've got the 30-pound relief pressure safety pressure valve on a compression fitting, so this can be removed and serviced if necessary without bringing a torch. So we've got two circulators here, the famous 007 wet rotor circulator, so the customer no longer has to oil any components. That's running the basement loop. In the main zone, we're going to duplicate the old Takeo 110 with the 0010 F3 circulator. Again, very efficient unit and requiring very little maintenance. And you got a flow check, and you've got your shut-off valve there, and then we got a return. We've got a boiler drain here, isolation valve, and returning back down to the return there. So this is in the midst of being wired and fired, and I think we've got a pretty good unit here, right sized for the space it's heating, and it should operate for a long time without any issues. Thank you again for your support. Really appreciate your comments, and stay tuned.